Greetings, I am Herbert Erpaderp, and today I'm going to build this Sd.Kfz 222 German light armoured car. This is a 15mm scale snap-together plastic kit made by Zvezda, which I'm sure you never would have figured out by looking at the box. Good thing I'm here to help. Those of you who watch my streams will know that this model took me 2 goes to get it right. Partly because I'm incompetent, but it also seems the parts are a bit picky about the order in which they're put together. So if you're building one of these, don't rebel from the instructions too much. That's my advice. The back of the box is pretty much what I would expect. Some information and 3 images of the completed but unpainted model. Very simple but effective box design. Inside the box we find this pair of sprues. These are small and there aren't a lot of parts, but it does look good and neat. The detail here is what you would expect of a recentish 15mm scale kit from Zvezda. That is to say, it's good, but you wouldn't call it super detailed or anything like that. The meshy looking texture on top of the turret roof is actually quite nice, and so is the grid looking stuff on top of the hull. Not sure if that's actually meant to be mesh or something else, but it looks good. There are of course mold lines, but they're mostly pretty minor. I think they're the worst on the wheels, but they're pretty easy to clean up there too, so it shouldn't slow you down too much. In addition to these good plastic sprues, the box contains this paper leaflet. This side has information about Zvezda's game Art of Tactic, and this side contains the instructions. These aren't overly complex, but they don't quite tell you the order in which things should be done. Oh well, let's get to the build. I start by attaching this little plate thing with the headlamps on it to the frame. This is pretty simple, and I do like that the tiny little headlamps aren't individual pieces. Then come the axle-y bits with mudguard parts. I found it hard to get these into place with my fat fingers, and I felt like I was going to break something. Using the tweezers definitely helped. All of these parts are different, so do be sure that you are using the correct part in the right spot. Also, be careful not to bend or break the pins that these parts slot onto. That would be bad. I think one of the mistakes I made the first time around was putting the lower frame part on and then trying to add the axle parts I just added. This time the frame part goes on now, and it goes into place very easily, like so. It does take a bit of pressure to make sure everything is all the way together, and then I add some glue to make sure it doesn't come apart. Most of this will probably stay together with friction. It is a snap kit after all, but I would prefer to be sure and lock it all together with glue. Then I install the left side of the vehicle's body. This isn't super hard to install, though it did need a bit of pressure to get the pins all the way in. And I did have to fiddle with the front bit so that it would go in behind the mudguard properly. Also, it doesn't seem to fit perfectly at the rear, but it does go on fairly well. Good enough for me anyway. Installing the right hull side was more or less the same, except on the right and not on the left. Once I'm pretty happy with how the parts have gone together, I add glue. I think another one of the mistakes I was making last time was adding glue too soon. Oh well, it looks pretty reasonable this time. I think the gap between the frame and body is reasonable, and it shouldn't be visible during normal use anyway. Then I install the hull roof. This goes into place okay, though as you can see it's a bit gappy. To reduce that gappiness I add glue in sections, starting at the front. This way you can hold the parts together to take care of the gaps easier than if you added glue to the entire thing all at once. The result isn't perfect, but it's reasonable enough. If you really wanted to, you could do some filling. Now seems like a really good time to attach the wheels. See what I did there? Hilarious and original jokes. Anyway, the wheels are quite easy to install. There is a tiny bit of play in them, but it's not hard to nudge them and make sure that they're nice and straight. I think it looks pretty good, but there is still a couple more things to do. I add the spare wheel, which I presume is in a cover of some sort, otherwise it's the least detailed wheel ever. It looks like it's in a cover on the front of the box. I guess they didn't want the wheel to get dirty or something. Then I add these little stowage boxes on either side of the hull. I got these into place with my fat fingers easily enough, though they were a bit wonky. I had to use my tweezers to rotate them around a bit to where they would be straight relative to the rest of the vehicle. Once they are where I want them, I add glue. And with that, the hull is complete. Onto the turret, which is a very simple two-piece assembly. Just press the parts together like so, and you've got yourself one turret, suitable for all kinds of turrety things, like rotating, shooting, protecting the crew to some degree. You can see that I've added glue after making sure the parts went together properly. I figured it would probably cause damage to separate the parts again, and the extra thin glue will seep in between the parts well enough. The turret fits onto the hull with a simple pin. I'm sure if you really wanted to, you could magnetize this. I didn't really feel a need to do that though. After all, the turret does stay on with friction quite well. This model has gone together very nicely and with minimal difficulty. But here's my first attempt. It looks pretty bad, though I think I could use it as a wreck that has suffered an internal explosion or something like that. Perhaps it could be an objective marker. Anyway, I think the main mistakes I made were gluing parts too soon, and simply putting things on in the wrong sequence, making it harder to get the other parts on, particularly around the mudguard axle bits. The instructions weren't exactly clear with this sort of thing. A contributing factor in this might have been that I was tired and didn't really have a lot of time. Either way, at least this time I didn't stab it with my clippers, and the second attempt has turned out much better, so I'm much happier with it. It is a nice little model, and I do mean little. I've seen this kit shared on my Discord before, so I wasn't surprised that it looks good. Sure, it's a cheap model in a small scale, so the detail isn't going to be what you might expect from a higher end, larger scale kit, and if that is what you're expecting at around $7, you might need to reevaluate your expectations, but it's still pretty decent. It works pretty much perfectly in its intended role, which is that of a gaming piece. And if you're looking for one of these for your German force in whichever 15mm scale game you might play, this is certainly a choice worth looking at. Of course, that isn't to say that it can't be used in a diorama or a display if that's what you want to do. That's cool too. I want to say that the assembly was quick and easy, and the second time it was. The first time was a bit frustrating, but if you take your time and think about it a bit, it should go much smoother for you. I've made the mistakes, so you don't have to. It was also fun. For me, it would have been less fun if I didn't build it on stream. Having the chat there makes it more enjoyable, even if the model is being a bit of a pain to put together. Speaking of which, if you want to watch me build models live on stream, go to my Twitch link in the description and give me a follow. I would certainly appreciate it. Currently, I stream model building on Monday mornings around 9 AM, and Wednesday evenings around 9 PM, local time of course, which is GMT plus 10. You'll have to figure out what that is in your own time zone yourself. Either way, come hang out, it'll be fun. Okay, enough self-promotion. What do you think of this kit? Do you field these in your German forces? Have you built this kit yourself? If so, we would love to see pictures of it over on the modelling section of my Discord server. And let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe, follow, ring the bell, become a member, and all the other YouTube and social media things. There are links to all of the things in the description below. And as always, I shall return soon. So until then, be excellent to each other, and thank you for watching. Farewell.